The new Trump administration has fired federal prosecutors at the Department of Justice who were involved in the criminal cases investigating President Trump and his role in the January 6th Capitol riots. Let's get right to CNN's chief legal affairs correspondent, Paula Reed. This news is breaking right now. Paula, tell us what's going on.
Jake, we have gotten so much news out of the Justice Department in just the past 30 minutes. Trump Justice Department officials doing exactly what President Trump said he would do, firing officials who worked on criminal investigations related to Trump, and also launching an investigation into the prosecutions of January 6th. Now, let's start with that first news, and that is this move to fire, we're told, over a dozen officials who worked on criminal investigations related to President Trump.
Okay, so Capitol Hill is absolutely on fire right now. A federal judge just signaled that imminent arrests are coming for Trump's inner circle, and this isn't speculation. This isn't a future possibility. The judge has already ordered the real-time arrest of one Trump attorney in open court, arrested them for contempt and perjury right there in the courtroom. And the judge made clear this is just the beginning, that more arrests are coming, that Trump's entire inner circle is facing detention for their roles in obstruction, cover-ups, and crimes related to January 6th. Washington is reeling from this. Congress is in emergency session. Media is scrambling to report developments. Trump's team is in full panic mode, because they thought they could lie and obstruct without facing real consequences, thought their lawyers could make false statements to courts without getting arrested. But this judge just showed them they were wrong, arrested a lawyer in open court, and warned that anyone else who lies or obstructs will face the same fate. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us. Be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right? Let's get back to the video.
To the special counsel's office. So it's not a surprise in terms of what they signaled they would do, but it is a surprise because these are career officials who are supposed to be impartial. They're supposed to be able to do their job, investigate, follow the facts where they may lead without retaliation. Now, when it comes to reviewing specifically the January 6th cases where they charged obstruction of justice, that is a little bit of a surprise, but this opens the door to a larger review of how the January 6th cases were handled. Jake, as you know, the president has come under criticism for offering pardons that were much more broad than he had said he would. He said that he wouldn't likely pardon folks who had committed violent acts on January 6th. He pardoned many people who committed violent.
The specific moment when the judge ordered the attorney's arrest was dramatic. The judge had caught the lawyer lying under oath, had proof the lawyer made false statements to the court, and rather than just imposing a fine or scheduling a contempt hearing, the judge ordered immediate arrest right there. Had bailiffs take the lawyer into custody. That visual of a Trump attorney being handcuffed and led out of the courtroom sent shockwaves through the legal and political communities, because it shows judges are done being patient, done tolerating lies and obstruction, ready to use their full powers, including immediate arrest, to ensure compliance with law. The judge's language about Trump's team making a mockery of the legal system captures the frustration. Judges have been dealing with Trump's obstructive tactics for years. False statements, hidden evidence, witness intimidation, all of it undermining the judicial process. And this judge finally said enough. Said Trump's team has been making a mockery of the legal system, and that mockery is going to result in arrests, real consequences, immediate detention. The close Trump aide who flipped and started cooperating is a game changer. This was someone previously loyal to Trump, someone inside the inner circle who knew everything, and they've decided to cooperate with prosecutors, to hand over text messages showing what Trump and his team were planning before January 6th, to provide meeting notes, documenting discussions about overturning the election, to give prosecutors insider communications that prove Trump's knowledge and intent. That kind of insider cooperation is devastating because it gives prosecutors direct evidence from someone who was there, who participated, who can testify about what Trump actually said and did. The specific evidence the aide provided apparently includes text messages from before January 6th, messages between Trump's team discussing how to disrupt the certification, how to pressure Pence, how to use the rally to create chaos, all of it showing January 6th wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't a rally that got out of hand. It was planned. And Trump's inner circle was doing the planning. Those text messages prove Trump and his team deliberately planned to prevent Biden's certification. The meeting notes the aide turned over apparently document strategy sessions, meetings where Trump and advisors discussed how to overturn the election results, what legal theories to pursue, what political pressure to apply, what actions to take on January 6th. All of it documented by someone who was in the room taking notes. The documentation is powerful evidence, can't be dismissed as faulty memory. It's contemporaneous records of what was said and decided. The insider communications include emails and recorded conversations, Trump and his team discussing illegal conduct, discussing how to pressure officials, discussing how to hide evidence, all of it proving knowledge and intent. Proving Trump knew what he was doing was wrong but did it anyway. Congressional demands for arrests rather than just investigation show the political pressure intensifying. House Judiciary leaders aren't saying investigate these people, they're saying arrest them, issue warrants, detain them. That's Congress using its political power to pressure law enforcement to act, to ensure people who broke the law face consequences. The specific Trump associates that Congress is demanding warrants for apparently include campaign officials and White House staff who were involved in planning January 6th, people who organized the rally, who coordinated with militia groups, who planned the march to the Capitol. Congress is saying we have evidence these people committed crimes, issue warrants, arrest them. The evidence tying these associates to attempts to overturn the election includes their communications with state officials, their involvement in fake elector schemes, their participation in pressuring Pence, all documented through texts, emails, and testimony, all showing they were actively working to prevent Biden from taking office. The chain reaction of subpoenas, hearings, and resignations shows the cascading consequences. Each new revelation leads to more subpoenas for more witnesses. Each subpoena leads to more hearings where more evidence emerges. Each piece of evidence leads to more resignations as people try to distance themselves from the scandal. That cascade is overwhelming Trump's team, making it impossible to maintain coordinated defense. The description of Capitol Hill as a pressure cooker with the smell of indictments in the air captures the atmosphere. Everyone knows arrests are coming. Everyone knows indictments are being prepared. The only questions are who gets arrested first and how many people ultimately face charges. That certainty of coming legal action creates enormous pressure, makes people more likely to cooperate, more likely to flip, more likely to try to save themselves by providing evidence against others. All right, so let's dig into what led to the attorney's arrest, what evidence the cooperating aide provided, and why this triggers a wave of additional arrests. The attorney who was arrested apparently lied to the judge about whether certain documents existed. The judge had ordered production of documents. The attorney claimed they didn't exist or couldn't be found. But the judge obtained evidence proving the documents did exist, that the attorney knew about them, that the attorney deliberately lied to avoid producing them. That's perjury, that's obstruction. And the judge responded with immediate arrest. The real-time nature of the arrest, happening right there in the courtroom rather than through a later warrant, shows how seriously the judge viewed the misconduct. Usually when judges find contempt, they schedule a hearing, give the person a chance to explain, then impose sanctions. But this judge concluded the lying was so egregious that immediate arrest was warranted, that the attorney posed such a threat to the integrity of proceedings that they needed to be detained immediately. The charges of contempt and perjury the attorney faces are serious. Contempt of court can result in jail time until the person agrees to comply. Perjury is a felony that can result in years in prison. An obstruction of justice, which lying to hide documents constitutes, is another felony with serious prison time. So this attorney isn't just facing professional sanctions. They're facing potential years in federal prison. The description of the obstruction as making a mockery of the legal system shows the judge's frustration went beyond just this one incident. The judge apparently views Trump's entire legal strategy as designed to undermine judicial proceedings, to turn courts into political battlegrounds rather than forums for resolving legal questions. That broader frustration influenced the decision to arrest, to send a message that courts won't tolerate this kind of conduct. The cooperating aide's decision to flip apparently came after prosecutors showed them evidence of their own criminal exposure, made clear they could face serious charges unless they cooperated. And the aide decided cooperation was better than prison. That standard prosecutorial technique, apply pressure, show people they're facing serious consequences, then offer a deal if they cooperate, and it worked. Got an insider to flip and provide devastating evidence. The text messages the aide provided apparently include group chats among Trump's inner circle. Messages sent in the days before January 6th discussing logistics, who would speak at the rally, how to maximize turnout, what to tell people to do, all showing careful planning rather than spontaneous event. Those messages also apparently include discussions about Pence, about pressuring him not to certify, about what Trump would say to him, about backup plans if Pence refused to cooperate, all proving there was a coordinated strategy to prevent certification. The meeting notes document specific strategy sessions. Apparently there were multiple meetings in late December and early January where Trump met with advisors to discuss overturning the election. The notes describe what was said, what options were considered, what decisions were made, all of it showing Trump was personally directing efforts to overturn the election, that this wasn't rogue staffers. This was Trump himself planning and directing the scheme. The insider communications the aide provided include emails between campaign officials and militia group members, emails coordinating about January 6th, about what would happen at the Capitol, about plans for disrupting certification. Those communications proved the violence wasn't random, wasn't just protesters who got out of hand, it was coordinated with Trump's team. They knew what was being planned, they facilitated it. That makes them part of the conspiracy. Congressional demands for arrests being based on evidence they've seen in their investigations. The January 6th committee gathered extensive evidence, conducted hundreds of interviews, obtained thousands of documents, and based on that evidence, they're now saying specific people need to be arrested. That's Congress using its investigative findings to demand criminal prosecution. The House Judiciary leaders pointing to evidence means they can point to specific documents and testimony proving crimes, can show prosecutors exactly what evidence exists and why it supports criminal charges. That makes it harder for prosecutors to decline prosecution, creates political pressure to act. The campaign officials and White House staff being targeted apparently include people who organized the rally, coordinated with militia groups, planned the march to the Capitol, and participated in pressuring Pence. All of them facing potential charges for conspiracy, obstruction, and sedition. The evidence of planning before and during the attack includes communications showing people knew violence was likely, knew the goal was to disrupt certification, participated in creating the conditions for violence. That foreknowledge and participation makes them criminally liable for what happened. The cover-up activities these people engaged in include deleting messages, lying to investigators, coordinating false testimony, and hiding documents. All of that is obstruction. All separate crimes beyond the January 6th conduct itself, and all provable through the evidence the cooperating aide and others have provided. The ongoing fallout from January 6th keeps expanding as more evidence emerges. Each new cooperator provides more information. Each piece of information leads to more suspects. Each suspect faces pressure to cooperate, creating a cascade where the investigation keeps growing. Okay, so let's break down what these imminent arrests mean for Trump's inner circle and for accountability for January 6th. Point 1. A judge ordering real-time arrest of a Trump attorney in open court demonstrates judicial willingness to use immediate detention as sanction for obstruction. This isn't just threatening contempt. This is actually arresting someone in the courtroom. That shows judges have lost patience with Trump's tactics, are ready to use their full powers to ensure compliance. That shift from tolerance to enforcement is significant. Point 2. A close Trump aide flipping and providing text messages, meeting notes, and insider communications gives prosecutors direct evidence from inside the conspiracy. This isn't circumstantial evidence. This isn't inference. This is someone who was there saying, here's what we planned, here's what we did, here's the evidence that proves it. That kind of insider cooperation is devastating, makes conviction virtually certain. Point 3. Congressional demands for arrests of specific Trump associates based on evidence of planning and cover-ups creates political pressure for prosecutors to act. When Congress says we've seen the evidence these people committed crimes, arrest them, that makes it harder for prosecutors to decline prosecution, creates expectation of action, makes inaction politically costly. Point 4. The chain reaction of subpoenas, hearings, and resignations shows Trump's inner circle fragmenting under pressure, people trying to save themselves, trying to distance from scandal, some cooperating, some resigning, the unified defense collapsing. That fragmentation makes prosecution easier as people turn on each other. Point 5. The characterization of this as a watershed moment for rule of law reflects that these arrests will demonstrate accountability. Applies even to those close to a former president. No one is above the law. Being in Trump's inner circle doesn't protect you. If you committed crimes, you face arrest and prosecution. That equal application of law is fundamental to democracy. So what's the bottom line? Capitol Hill is on fire. A federal judge signaling imminent arrests of Trump's inner circle. Already arrested one Trump attorney in open court for contempt and perjury, warning more arrests are coming for anyone who lies or obstructs. A close Trump aide flipped, started cooperating with prosecutors. Handed over text messages showing planning before January 6th. Meeting notes documenting strategy sessions. Insider communications proving Trump's knowledge and intent. All devastating evidence from someone who was inside the conspiracy. Congressional leaders demanding arrests, not just investigation, but actual warrants for Trump associates, campaign officials, White House staff, people involved in planning January 6th and covering it up. The evidence tying them to attempts to overturn election, to conspiracy, to obstruction, all documented through texts, emails, testimony. The judge's courtroom arrest sending shockwaves, showing judges ready to use immediate detention, ready to enforce law against Trump's team, ready to hold people accountable regardless of political power. The cooperating aide's evidence being game-changing. Text messages from before January 6th showing planning. Meeting notes documenting strategy sessions, communications proving coordination with militia groups. All showing this was planned conspiracy, not spontaneous protest. Congressional demands based on January 6th committee evidence. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of documents, all pointing to specific people who need to be arrested, creating political pressure for prosecution. The chain reaction overwhelming Trump's team. Each revelation leading to more subpoenas, more hearings, more evidence, more resignations, people trying to save themselves by cooperating or distancing. The unified defense collapsing under pressure. Capitol Hill described as pressure cooker. Everyone knowing arrests are coming, knowing indictments being prepared, only questions being who gets arrested first and how many face charges. That certainty creating enormous pressure to flip. 2. The description as watershed moment being accurate. This is when accountability becomes real, when people actually get arrested, when consequences materialize, not just investigations or hearings, but actual detention and prosecution. Legal analysts saying rule of law demands public consequences, can't have people at highest levels committing crimes without facing arrest. That's what separates democracy from autocracy, equal application of law, regardless of power. The imminent arrests threatening to reshape political landscape, when Trump's inner circle starts getting detained, when people close to Trump face criminal prosecution, that changes everything, makes supporting Trump more costly, makes others more likely to cooperate, creates comprehensive legal jeopardy for everyone involved. Trump camp in full crisis mode, lawyers getting arrested, aides flipping, congressional demands for more arrests, judges ready to detain anyone who obstructs, all creating perfect storm of legal accountability. This is January 6th accountability finally materializing, years after the attack, after extensive investigation, after gathering overwhelming evidence, now arrests beginning, now people facing consequences, the judge's arrest of attorney being first visible sign, more arrests coming soon, for campaign officials who organized rally, for White House staff who planned disruption, for everyone who participated in conspiracy to overturn election. The insider cooperation making cases ironclad. Can't defend against someone from inside saying, here's what we did, here's the proof. That testimony combined with documents proving guilt beyond doubt, Capitol Hill eruption reflecting magnitude of moment. Everyone understanding this is turning point. When investigation becomes prosecution, when evidence becomes arrests, when accountability becomes real, Trump's inner circle facing detention, his associates facing criminal charges, his entire operation facing comprehensive legal reckoning. The judge making clear this is just beginning. One arrest so far, but more coming. Anyone who lied to courts faces arrest. Anyone who obstructed faces detention. Anyone who participated in conspiracy faces prosecution. That message creating panic among Trump's team, making people reconsider their loyalty, making cooperation more attractive, congressional pressure intensifying, demanding warrants, demanding action, using political power to ensure law enforcement acts. The coming days potentially seeing multiple arrests, Trump's top advisors detained, his inner circle facing prosecution, all because judge decided to enforce law, to use immediate arrest as sanction, to show that no one is above accountability. Capitol Hill on fire as arrests begin. As Trump's inner circle faces detention, as accountability for January 6th finally becomes reality,